The 2-6 Dallas Cowboys are at home this week, welcoming the only unbeaten team in the league, the Pittsburgh Steelers, who just got done with their second heavyweight fight in a row, walking away from both with their champion belt in hand.
Been a great third down defense the last 2 weeks. The Steelers, and they've got an interception and a run back all the way home. It's Spillane with the touchdown on the pick six.
Pittsburgh's D once again proved to be too much for their opponent, the Steelers picking off Lamar Jackson twice last week, holding him to 208 yards passing and a 65.8 passer rating.
Jackson is intercepted. My goodness.
The Steelers' pass defense has rounded into one of those that's the hardest to throw on. Their season numbers all ranked at the top. They're the only team holding QBs to a sub-60 completion rate, just 213 passing yards per game, and a rating allowed of just 80.9.
Ain't nothing better than a tip just fluttering to you. I'm like, for me?
And their success against the pass, of course, starts up front.
Jackson has the ball knocked out of his hands, still down.
The Steelers' pass rush has been relentless, sacking Jackson 4 times and leading the league in QB takedowns.
And gets hammered at the 50 by Tuitt.
That does not bode well for Cowboys QBs. Ben DiNucci last week sacked 4 times.
And he can't avoid the sack.
Dallas overall allowing one of the highest sack totals in the league.
He gets taken down. That ball is out as well.
And that's just the mismatch the Cowboys face up front, because the Cowboys' passing attack post-Dak Prescott has not been pretty.
Kirk behind everybody at the 40, 30.
So that's why you turn to Ezekiel Elliott in bunches, right? The problem is he's having his worst year in the midst of their spiral. Zeke averaging just 3.3 yards per carry last week and now under 4 a carry for the year.
And Elliott fumbled the ball again.
But you have to assume they'll keep on feeding him, and the Steelers didn't handle the Ravens' rush attack all that great last week, giving up 265 rushing yards on 5.6 yards a run.
That's 5 straight running plays. This one went for 20.
But that was to the Ravens, who are the best rushing team in the NFL and have a QB who has to be accounted for.
They'll toss it to the other side, and again Dobbins on a first down carry.
And the fact is, Pittsburgh was one of the hardest teams to run on prior to that game, so Dallas faces just as stiff a challenge if they try and keep things on the ground. Dallas, on the other hand, did not play the rush game well last week, and that wasn't a fluke.
You got a first down and a lot more for Boston Scott.
The boys gave up 4.6 yards a carry to the Eagles, and they've allowed more rushing yards than any other team per game so far, giving up over 5 yards a run. That seems to open the door for a big game from James Conner, though he didn't fare all that great last week versus Baltimore.
This time the Ravens have 3 on him in a hurry.
Conner is capable, though. He's hitting at 4.5 yards a run overall and has 3 100-yard rush games already. And then as far as the passing matchup on this side, Ben Roethlisberger had a clean game last week, symbolic of his year, really.
Wide open lane to the end zone.
Big Ben has been coming through in those needed moments more often than not. His stats in most games aren't eye-popping, but they don't need to be. His play complementing what the defense is doing around him.
I was like, he really threw it. You could have ran for the tutty. I know, I was thinking about it. Good work, baby.
It looked so far away.
The Cowboys' passing defense, a high rating allowed, but not a lot of yards per game, and a low completion rate allowed.
The secondary is doing its job, and he just has to fling it away.
This game, of course, has trap written all over it. The Steelers, with no losses, taking on a reeling Cowboys squad. But does anyone have the guts to call for a Dallas upset? Cowboys fans? Anyone? We'll have to see what everyone says in the comments section, but we don't have to wait to see what our picks panel says. They're up right now.
Atlanta just let it roll, and it went 10, and the Cowboys have the football.
Looking right, going right, end zone, touchdown! It's Claypool with the touchdown catch.